All right, what's up, everyone? I'm Tokenicer. Welcome back to my channel where I go over deep analysis and insights on the digital asset space, along with the progressive tokenization of the world with you guys. Today, I want to do a little breakdown of a project that's working to connect our traditional world of finance with this new decentralized finance space, along with tokenizing any asset to be traded on their platform. But before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that I'm not a financial advisor and therefore I don't give out any financial advice. The FA content I make stands for fundamental analysis, not financial advice. But now that we've got that out of the way, let's get right into it. So today, the project I'm going to be breaking down for y'all is AllianceBlock. They're a blockchain agnostic layer 2 protocol, which is working out to build the first ever globally compliant, but still decentralized marketplace for any financial instrument to be tokenized and traded on. So you've got your traditional assets like stocks, commodities, funds, and Forex currencies. But then you've got some other less liquid assets that we don't really see traded too often, like real estate, art, and nowadays even data. So if all these assets become tokenized, we can have instant settlements along with an automated market that's fully transparent on a ledger and fractionalized ownership. This means, for example, a city block in Times Square, New York could be tokenized and split between ownership between anyone who invests money into their tokenized city block. And they could in return get portions of the revenue generated as dividends, depending on how much ownership they have and how much they have invested their own money to progress that respective city block. The possibilities are really as far as the mind can stretch when it comes to tokenizing assets. But back to AllianceBlock. So there's three main layers that are at the foundation of the AllianceBlock protocol. We've got the DeFi layer, which allows their platform to be cross-chain interoperable and is the pillar of their peer-to-peer funding protocol, which we'll get deeper into later. Then we've also got the data layer, and this layer is to let users on their platform tokenize and monetize the data that they generate on their platform for other users to trade and do deeper research on. Then we've also got the cross-border and compliance layer. And I'm guessing you can tell from the name, but this layer pretty much allows compliance depending on where each user is to be coded into their system and makes for a trustless regulatory process. And AllianceBlock's pretty much built from a bunch of individual customized modules that could pretty much be projects of their own. But combine them all together and you get the AllianceBlock protocol. So let's go over some of these modules and what they are. So first up, they've got a trustless KYC module where retail and institutional users will have to do a one-time trustless KYC on their platform to prove their identity. And then based on where they reside, they'll have access to investment products that are legal in respects to their country's laws. And just as we were talking about earlier, they've got a peer-to-peer lending protocol. But this isn't like your average peer-to-peer lending. Smaller startups can tokenize their equity as collateral and begin raising money in a peer-to-peer sense, where investors can get a cut at some early-stage startups. So think lending and borrowing DeFi protocols like Aave and Compound, and now add in the ability of collateralized equity or just any other asset and trading peer-to-peer ownership. The potential is just insane. And through the ability to be cross-chain interoperable through their DeFi terminal, they're going to be offering liquidity mining as a service for a bunch of projects. In addition to having a terminal to do all things DeFi, like lending, staking, and swapping all in one interface, that also has AI components integrated to give you advice to best manage your portfolio, along with automatic reward claiming and staking. But now it'll reinvest it in the most profitable and lowest risk allocation. And that's something that's going to be really big because I don't think institutions are going to want to be doing a swap on one exchange and then going to another protocol to stake. That's basically asking for them to lose track of their clients' funds with all the amount of moving they're going to have to do. Their Alliance Bridge lets users swap tokens across any blockchain that's integrated into their system, which they've already got from popular ones like Ethereum and AVAX to some smaller, more developing chains like Arbitrum and Energy Web. And along with that, they've got a couple data components, which makes up for their data marketplace, where people are going to be monetizing their data for other people to utilize. And this also allows for AllianceBlock to aggregate oracles and enrich all the data that they bring in, and then push it back out in real time, along with giving an API key for institutions to keep up with the DeFi ecosystem. But what really makes AllianceBlock unique is when it comes to their competitor scenario. Their other competitors is that, well, you can't really even say they have other competitors because no one else is working to build out what AllianceBlock is building. Well, I guess there's some components of AllianceBlock you could argue some other projects are doing, but AllianceBlock is combining all these modules, which would all be solid single projects in their own, and they're even working to be fully compliant. Institutions and wealth managers aren't going to want to touch something that's unregulated and non-compliant because they've got thousands of clients' funds on the line. And they're obviously going to have to be careful and pick out the best legal, secure, and efficient ways to really start getting into this space, since there's so much demand from not just their clients, but even the institutions themselves want to hop in too. But they still have a lot of regulatory barriers. So AllianceBlock's approach just makes perfect sense in this case. They're working to integrate TradFi, DeFi, peer-to-peer lending, data monetization, and of course, asset tokenization all into their platform. Sure, it might sound insane, but if you really think about it, something like this is needed and honestly just makes sense in the 21st century of modern finance. A network where you can trade every financial instrument on while getting AI advisory to best manage your risk, while you can also tokenize and monetize the data you generate. So let's take a little dive into their team real quick. So first off, we've got the CEO of AllianceBlock, Rashid Ajaja. And Rashid's got over 7 years as a quantitative analyst at some places like Barclays and BNP Paribas. He then switched over into doing some AI development at Vinci, where he not only worked to develop some things like autonomous cars and visual computer understanding, but he also began studying blockchain around this time and how it might help with AI. And then we got the Chief Technology Officer, Matthijs de Vries, and he's got experience with software developing dating back to 2001, with some feats like managing one of the largest Dutch parcel companies, PostNL, and also building out a few of his own startups. Then we've got Amber Gatter, who is AllianceBlock's Chief Investment Officer, and a little background check shows that she comes from the TradFi world, where she's got experience working at two of the top most powerful investment banks, and that's Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, where she started out working a year at Goldman Sachs as a thematic investment researcher before she went over to JP Morgan, where she went from head of UK cross-asset derivatives, then a macro strategies trader before finally moving to a fixed incomes trader before she took off to AllianceBlock. So that's basically the core team, and for what AllianceBlock is building out, seems like they've got it covered in both the financial parts along with the programming and development. Now let's check out some of AllianceBlock's partners real quick. Let's go over their partnership with the London Stock Exchange first. So how many crypto projects can say they've partnered with the stock exchange? Not many, I'd assume. So this partnership is going to let AllianceBlock access some of the assets on the London Stock Exchange to become tokenized, along with letting the institutional clients that are on the London Stock Exchange to have access to all the products on the AllianceBlock protocol. To see a stock exchange partner with a crypto project like AllianceBlock should really get you thinking about where this whole financial industry is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And another big name, NatWest Bank, or National Westminster Bank. So first we had a stock exchange and now a bank. And NatWest isn't your average small commercial bank either. Keep in mind, AllianceBlock's mission is to bridge these two worlds of traditional finance and decentralized finance together to allow them to grow in one larger ecosystem. So this partnership is more of an incubation grant from NatWest for AllianceBlock to give them the proper tools to really build out and flourish with the idea. But to get recognition from one of the big four clearing banks in the UK to be selected into their incubator program, it really seems like the big players are seeing something special here. And of course, any platform wishing to be compliant is going to have to implement KYC. Unfortunately, it's not going to be something we can escape as regulations tighten up. So they've decided to partner with GBG, which is an identity verifier, and they'll be generating anonymous signed and reusable KYC documents of all across the AllianceBlock platform. So this will give users on their platform a seamless process to only verify their identity once and be able to access financial products that are considered compliant in their respective countries. And then we've also got some crypto partners too. So there's Quant Network, which I promise I won't get too deep into this time, but they're working to connect our world's legacy systems into this new blockchain and distributed ledger technology. And they've done so by creating the world's first blockchain operating system, which is universally interoperable and looks to create MDApps, which are multi-chain applications. Now, if you want to learn more about Quant, I'll leave a link up here, but I'm probably actually going to do a remake of this video sometime. And if you guys take a quick look, you'll probably see why. So this partnership will let AllianceBlock's institutional and small enterprise clients to use Overledger in a more convenient way, which is the operating system of theirs that allows things to be universally interoperable. And this partnership with Quant is also going to help AllianceBlock with their Alliance Bridge in doing cross multi-chain swaps or trades, since Quant's here to connect every blockchain together too. So another popular crypto they've partnered with is Hedera Hashgraph, which is a layer 1 directed acyclic graph, which was built with the purposes to be scalable, efficient, and secure. So they're a bit more centralized of a layer 1 than a lot of these other layer 1s, as they're a permission platform. But they got guys like Google, IBM, Boeing, LG, and a lot of just other big names on their council board, as we can see. So AllianceBlock is going to be leveraging this partnership by using something of Hedera's called the Hedera Council Service to make their cross-chain capabilities by recreating immutable log messages of each transaction across chains that can't be tampered with. So this service is pretty much a way to increase transparency and immutability. Now, for the other part of this partnership, we'll be seeing AllianceBlock also integrate Hedera's token services, which lets developers mint and manage tokens without the need to set up a smart contract. And this is going to be built into AllianceBlock's trustless KYC module, which will basically serve as another compliance layer to their decentralized and trustless ID verification, giving institutions that much more comfortability when it comes to accessing DeFi applications on AllianceBlock. I mean, they've already got Boeing, IBM, and even Google on their board. If that doesn't show some legitimacy, I don't know what will. Now, to add on to the KYC parts of AllianceBlock, they've also chosen Ocean Protocol as a partner, which is a crypto project that's working to be a decentralized exchange for data and to enable this data for AI technology. AllianceBlock's going to be leveraging this protocol's partnership by building a data pipeline over Ocean Protocol to store the amounts of data from their KYC and AML info to be reused again, as anyone who wants to participate in AllianceBlock in their peer-to-peer lending will need to repeat a KYC process every time. So Ocean Protocol will grant users access to grant and revoke data rights on the platform. And this partnership will also be helping AllianceBlock build out the single API to connect every financial institution into the DeFi ecosystem. They've also partnered with a bunch of oracles, as we've mentioned earlier, to aggregate data and enrich it on their platform. They're going to need oracles to bring that data in, right? So these oracle partnerships include DIA, Chainlink, API3, Parsec. So they're going to be aggregating the data and price feeds inputted from all these oracles and then enriching them and then sending them back out to be better utilized in other DeFi applications. Now let's talk about the ALBT token real quick. So there's a total of about 233 million or so ALBT tokens at the moment in circulation, with a total amount of 1 billion ALBT. Now, this doesn't sound too great with only 23% of the total supply in circulation, does it? But I'll explain why this isn't actually as bad as it sounds in a second. But first, here's some utility to the ALBT token. So ALBT is actually going to be the reserve currency of the AllianceBlock protocol, but on top of that, ALBT will be used to pay for all the fees on their platform, but will also be the main source of rewards from distribution from things like dividends and staking rewards, along with also setting up validator nodes, which is going to require a certain amount of ALBT. Governance and voting rights for decisions on the AllianceBlock protocol will also be tied to the ALBT token. So the ALBT token has not one, but two forms of burn features as a means to keep their token deflationary and scarce in demand, but also just as a sort of general almost buyback like how we see in Legacy sometimes. The first burn is going to be through fees, as every transaction on the protocol is going to be required fees that are paid in ALBT. Some portion of these fees, though, are going to be locked away and confiscated, where every quarter a portion of all the collected fees are going to be burnt. So the second burn is going to have the team buying back some of their tokens from the market with a portion of their revenue and burning them. So pretty much as the network continues to grow in adoption and usage, the token value will go up as it becomes more deflationary too. Now add in about 15% of total supply locked up in validator nodes that are likely never to enter circulation. Well, now you've got a digital asset that also serves as a form of payment that's going to be increasingly more scarce with solid utility on an amazing platform with real-world use cases to big financial institutions. And with who they're already partnered and connected with and the roadmap they've laid out, I think that's a fair trade. So yeah, you can't really judge a book by its cover when it comes to these crypto projects. And so the nodes on AllianceBlock's protocol can range from institutional nodes to data nodes, all the way to service nodes. So I'm gonna just break down each one of these quickly for you guys. The institutional nodes are ran by, well, you can probably guess, institutions, right? These nodes relay updates and consensus in respects to their cross-border and compliance layer. And initially there's going to be 10 of these institutional nodes, but as the protocol continues to grow, they'll expand this out more to their institutional clients. These are also the only nodes out of the three that can broadcast transactions and have voting rights. The other two nodes are only able to delegate extra tokens to these institutional nodes for more voting power. They've also got data nodes, which will maintain the data layer of the AllianceBlock protocol. And these nodes are going to be responsible for processing the large amounts of data that comes into the protocol and, of course, the data generation on the platform itself. So to be a data node, there's going to be some data compliance rules you'll have to follow depending where you are. And once your data node is up and running, you can now trade and store data on the AllianceBlock protocol. And then we also got service nodes. So these nodes will be required to be ran by every business, company, and advisor on AllianceBlock. And of course, there's going to be more regulatory documents before they can run one. And as these nodes are mainly for companies looking to build on AllianceBlock, there's going to be a variety of services that they'll all be able to offer. So to just wrap things up real quick, there's no denying that AllianceBlock is just a very unique project in the sense that they're working so deeply with regulators and with the focus of being compliant to bridge our current traditional legacy finance systems into these new decentralized ecosystems. As we've seen with over the past few years, there's definitely interest from both institutions and their clients. But the biggest problem has always just been regulations, since there's no way to really check for money laundering or funding malicious activities in DeFi yet. And the fact they're adding in so much data components into their protocol will just mean even more rules to follow. Though, to be fair, these rules are broken in legacy systems all the time. Just look at these banks helping money laundering or the data breaches from these big data companies. They don't care. They know they're too big to fail, so they just do it, and if they get caught, fuck it. They pay a little fine relative to what they make and maybe a little slap on the hand. But AllianceBlock doesn't want to be like these corrupted and outdated legacy systems. They're building out the future vision of global finance, one that doesn't pull shady shit behind their backs, one where people can all participate in the same ecosystem, one where people can be transparent and take ownership and control of their assets. And this includes their data, because data is one of our strongest assets nowadays. So this isn't your simple DeFi protocol. Far from it. They're looking to tokenize every financial instrument. This isn't just including crypto and stocks. No, there's so much more out there in the financial world. From things like mutual funds, pension funds, sovereign bonds, foreign currencies, derivatives. Some of these markets are valued at over $1 quadrillion. So if AllianceBlock can even swallow up 1% of that market share, well, I'll let you imagine that. So this is going to help us further advance our borderless world by allowing assets to be traded globally. And of course, this is going to boost the economic inclusion around the world, as now anyone around the world can participate in any asset class that's legal in their respective countries, obviously. So not only is our world shifting more and more digitally every day, but we're also evolving to a world that's not separated by physical borders anymore. I mean, the power of the internet should have been enough to see that. Blockchain, Web3, and distributed ledger technology are the next step. It's about time the financial world takes its next step into this process too. And I believe AllianceBlock is going to be one of the catalysts that helps take us there in the next coming decade. All right, so that was our breakdown into AllianceBlock today. Let me know what you guys think and want to see next. And if you guys like what I'm doing, show some love, leave a like, hit that subscribe, and turn that ringer on. And of course, if you haven't checked me out on some of my other platforms yet, you can always read more of my fundamental analysis on Medium, or keep up to date or connect with me through my Twitter, Telegram, or Instagram, all at Tokenicer. And for those of you guys who don't got the time to read, I got you guys. I got a Spotify podcast right here at Tokenized TV. But thanks again for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. And until then, stay safe and keep grinding. Peace.